Charlamagne sneak disses Wax.
Why you want to fight me, man? God damn. You know who used to say that a lot?
You say it every fucking morning.
Say that a lot? You know who used to say that a lot?
What?
You know who used to say that a lot? So you better stop.
Who?
You know who used to say that a lot?
Who? I don't know.
I don't know who the fuck you talking about.
Who?
I don't know.
Who?
She said, I can't wait to fight you.
Yeah. Oh, oh,
Not
shit.
good at it.
On the last episode of Brilliant Idiots, it looked like Charlamagne might have been alluding to Wax. Now, some might say it wasn't a direct reference, but many in the comments and many on Reddit feel as if it is an allusion to Wax. And the context of this conversation is that Taylor says that she wants to fight Charlamagne. And Charlamagne says, you know who used to say that? You know who used to say that? Now, could he be talking about Wax? Was Wax someone that always used to say he wanted to fight Charlamagne in a playful way? Or was he talking about another figure in the Brilliant Idiots universe? I don't know, but if you think I'm bugging, let me know in the comments. And for those of you that don't know, Wax was a beloved host of the Brilliant Idiots show, but due to some domestic violence issues that were alluded to by his former ex, Carla Wilmaris.
It's an abusive relationship with somebody that was semi-known. I knew that no matter what, no one would believe me. And my child, who's 3.5 years old, does not know who his father is. That day, my fear of calling the police was unbearable. Like literally unbearable. It's like no one's going to believe me. Plus the shame. Plus it's like the police is going to get here and either we're going to have, in my mind, we're either going to have because he has my, or two, the cops are going to come. He's going to charm them. He's going to make them laugh. He's going to tell them who he is. He's going to tell them who he works for. He's going to tell them what he does. And the cops are going to walk away just like it's happened before with other women.
It is presumed that he had to leave the show, as she basically revealed that she called someone because Wax was on the show.
So can we talk about this on a podcast right now?
Yes. The truth is, I am a narcissist, and I need I'm traditional, man.
No, you're not.
I want to come home. I want to come home to a wife, to cook meal, the kids getting taken care of.
Tradition
take care of the
isn't
house.
necessarily good.
I reached out to somebody who didn't believe me when I first told, and I had asked him to stop talking about me publicly. So I made a phone, but he didn't stop. He didn't stop talking about me publicly. And it was all jokes. Everything was a fucking joke. And I remember I called somebody and I asked for it to be stopped and for it to just completely stop. This is not a joke. This is not games. This is my life. I need it to stop. And I knew immediately that they didn't believe me. We had a second conversation and I said some things. I still didn't expose everything, but I remember that person telling me, but I've just never seen him be aggressive towards women. You know, that's just not who I know. But I had the conversation and I really had that conversation with that person. And then the one thing I do remember was that they listened. Although they told me I don't know, I've never seen them act this way. They gave me the time to listen.
And I think that was the motivation for having Wax leave the show and eventually why Wax left Charlamagne's inner circle. Now, we have to recall that Wax did talk about, this situation on another platform. And here's what he said.
I can't even tell you. I know nothing. When I say I don't know nothing for years, I do not know anything. Everything was just literally came in my heart one day. I just know it wasn't it. You know what I'm saying?
And as you can see, he said a whole bunch of nothing, which is kind of in line with Wax. He does not want to go back down that road. I know his former ex, Carla, has said that he's moving on with a new phase of his life. But Brilliant Idiots, for the most part, appears to be completely fine without him. I know there's some people who feel like the show has changed too much, but with the contributions of Alex, Media, and Taylor, seem just fine. I know a lot of people don't like Taylor. I think maybe that's just the women in podcasting thing. Like anytime a woman with a mostly male audience, that it's really hard for them to be welcomed. And there's also the probably true part of maybe she is annoying. I don't listen to Brilliant Idiots to that level, but I don't want to just blame the whole male audience, because I also think that's a trope that male audiences of podcasters just generally hate women. Sometimes it's just a bad fit. Sometimes the podcasts that host these women don't do a good job of integrating themselves, and sometimes the podcasters just don't like women themselves. And I'm talking more about Joe Budden's pod, where sometimes it feels like they play lip service to wanting the woman voice. However, they shoot down the woman voice and don't really create a place for them to succeed. Like I think the only example of a woman in podcasting who is given equal footing, actual equal footing, is Damaris from the Rory and Mal show. And that's kind of just the spiel that I wanted to go on, because there seems to be a disconnect between women in podcasting and the male audiences that largely represent these shows. But let me know what you think about Charlamagne alluding to wax. Do you feel like he was mentioning wax? I know there's going to be a lot of people saying that I'm reaching, but I just want to say that my channel was always about speculation. And these podcasters often speculate and they make allusions, and sometimes it is exactly what we think they're talking about. And if it's not what we think they're talking about, then it's up to us to interrogate what they mean. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Danny, but why? This doesn't matter. No, it does matter, because we listen to these people for countless hours a year. We hear these people talk more than our family members. And that's why the stories, the lore matter. It's no different than you watch Game of Thrones and you want to learn more about a certain character because it adds more depth to the storytelling. Podcasts are stories. And it's not weird. It's not awkward. It's not, oh, you guys are losers for wanting to know about why X person left the show. We want to know why Wax left the show, because it was a special time for Brilliant Idiots, and it represents a different era of the show, one that fans of the show sorely miss. Now, I also wanted to ask before I wrap up if there's any other podcast stories going on out there that we need to be on the lookout for. I want to go back to doing DISSES and Meryl content, because I think there's something bubbling beneath the surface. There was a rumor of an alleged lawsuit between DISSES and CBS at the time. This is a rumor that I heard that, they trying to sue or something because of prejudices in the workplace. I don't know how accurate this is. This is just something that I've heard about. I'm not going to report it as if it's true, because I have no proof that it's true other than conjecture. But I still think there's some science to be done about the DISSES and Meryl episodes that were pretty awkward, especially Meronoscopy. And I also think we need to tap into Horrible Decisions. Horrible Decisions. They had a therapy episode a few years ago. And in that therapy episode, we got keen insights. And when I listened to it, I was like, man, why does it feel like the same issues Mandy had with Wheezy are very similar to the same issues she had with Bridget Kelly? So that's kind of the direction of the next few videos from my channel. Obviously, I'm also going to be doing Joe Budden content. I'm thinking of doing a breakdown of the emotional chords episode that Joe Budden did with Rory. Remember when Rory was talking about the emotional chords, and it seemed like it was at that point that these two just didn't have the chemistry to sustain being able to be on the podcast together. It felt as if, if it had happened, if that same debate had happened a few years prior, they would have joked around it. Rory would have been okay with the jokes, and it would have moved on. But at that point, the relationship had been so tattered, so ravaged by the demands of content creation, and it fell apart, and they could no longer communicate as men. But that is my course for the next few videos. I'm going to be breaking down Flip. I also feel like Flip was absent from the last Joe Budden podcast, but something interesting happened, and I don't think people are doing the science on that. But I will all break that down in the future. All right, y'all, make sure to follow me on Twitter. That's where a lot of my content goes. Not the main content, but just some of it. And also, my Shammy video, my interview with Shampoo, is now on Patreon as we speak. I will leave it linked in the first comment. It was a great interview. One of my favorite interviews. Shammy is a real funny dude. Like, he's actually funny. I think I made this point many times when I was talking about the Shammy interview. And he also wasn't afraid to talk about controversial topics like Diddy, and also spoke about his falling out with Queen's Flip. But besides that, follow me on Instagram as well, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.